A 23-year-old earning $18,000 a year proudly told his millionaire boss he'd saved 1,000 of it. The boss looked him in the eye and called him an idiot. Not for wasting money, for saving it. And the math behind why he was right could change how you spend the next decade. Before this video ends, you'll meet a man who did everything right. Worked relentlessly, saved faithfully, reached 8 figures, and would give most of it back to undo one mistake. The same mistake you might be making today. The frightening part is that it won't feel like a mistake for decades. The young trader was Bill Perkins. He believed saving was the responsible choice. But his boss saw something different. Perkins was at the beginning of an earning curve that would rise for years. Future Bill would be far wealthier than the young man standing there. Every dollar he hoarded was being taken from the poorest version of himself and handed to the richest. He was taking from a broke kid to reward a millionaire, and they were the same person. But money wasn't the real issue. The 3 things that create a great life rarely arrive together. In your 20s, you often have health and time, but little money. Later, the money arrives, but your schedule fills up. Eventually, you may have both money and time, yet your health begins to fade. Experiences create dividends. A trip you take at 25 keeps paying you through memories, stories, friendships, and the person you become. The same trip decades later often can't return the same value. Most people treat money as the asset and experiences as the expense. In reality, meaningful experiences are one of the few purchases that keep paying long after the money is gone. Then came the man who reached his financial goal. His greatest regret wasn't money. It was the recitals he missed, the family moments that never came back, and the years he assumed would always be waiting. None of it felt like a mistake while he was living it. Just thousands of small delays. His boss never said saving was wrong. He said he was protecting the wrong asset. Money can return. Time never does. You can't save your 20s and spend them at 60. That clock started long before you press play. It's still ticking. The only question is what you'll do with the time you have left. The man who taught millions about confidence admitted he once had one of the worst inferiority complexes imaginable. That isn't a contradiction. It's the secret because the solution he built for himself reveals the same mechanism quietly stealing opportunities from your life today. By the end, you'll see something even stranger. The prison you're in has no lock. Most people simply never test the door. As a young man, Vincent Peale was shy, self-conscious, and convinced everyone could see the insecurity he felt inside. The philosophy that later inspired millions wasn't created by someone naturally confident. It was built by someone fighting his own fears. Most people don't fail at the thing itself. They fail before it ever begins. Deep down, they decide that's not for someone like me. I'll embarrass myself. Once that verdict is made, they never start. There is no visible defeat, so it never feels like failure. Yet, the opportunities that cost you the most are often the ones you never even attempted. That verdict does something even more damaging. It changes what you notice. Self-doubt acts like an overactive spam filter, blocking opportunities before they ever reach your attention. 2 people can have the same talent and stand in the same room. One sees possibilities, the other sees barriers. You'll rarely outperform the opinion you've already accepted about yourself. Does that mean you simply need to think positive? Not exactly. Positive thinking isn't magic. What matters is that your private verdict determines what you'll attempt, and your attempts determine what becomes possible. Raise that verdict, and you don't guarantee success. You make action possible. The frightened young man never waited until he felt confident. He acted anyway, one uncomfortable step at a time, until millions learned from his example. Most people spend their lives inside a cell with the door already open. The wall you've been staring at for years might only be a belief wearing a disguise. "40 years ago, the device in your pocket would have cost millions of dollars. Even worse, much of what it can do wasn't available to ordinary people at any price. By the end of this video, you'll see why believing you were born too late is one of the most expensive illusions you can carry. Look at your phone. It combines a professional camera, a film studio, a recording studio, a vast library, satellite navigation, and the ability to publish your ideas to the world. Decades ago, many of those capabilities belonged only to governments, broadcasters, or large corporations. But the phone is only part of the story. The biggest shift is that powerful technologies are advancing together. Computing, networks, sensors, artificial intelligence, and biology are improving at the same time, multiplying one another's impact. Our minds expect steady, linear change. Reality has become exponential. You've probably felt it yourself. Something arrives that would have sounded impossible a few years earlier. You're amazed for a moment, then it quickly becomes normal. That is what living through exponential change feels like. For most of history, ambition required permission. You needed a publisher, a television network, a studio, or a wealthy investor. Countless talented people never received that chance. Today, many of those gates have disappeared. Nearly anyone can publish, teach, create, or build from a single device. Does that mean success is guaranteed? Of course not. Opportunity only matters if you use it. Every previous generation of ambitious people would have traded places with you for access to these tools. Many people see rapid technological change and feel fear. But rapid change also creates opportunity. The most valuable thing you own may not be your phone. It's the opportunity you've become so used to that you hardly notice it's there. Every day, you give strangers something worth real money, hour after hour, for free. Most people do it their entire lives without realizing they could have been collecting instead of donating. For most of history, reaching an audience required permission. Publishers, television networks, and retailers decided who deserved attention. Between every creator and every audience stood gatekeepers whose job was usually to say no. That wall is gone. Today, a free account created in minutes can reach people around the world. Individual creators can build audiences that once required enormous companies and decades of investment. This created a new kind of asset that few people were taught to recognize: attention. In a world where billions of people carry screens, human attention has become one of the scarcest resources available. Once you build an audience, it can continue creating opportunities, income, relationships, and influence long after the original work is finished. But simply posting more isn't the answer. The real advantage is leverage. Traditional work often exchanges hours for income. Digital content can continue working long after it's published. A single video, article, or podcast can educate, inspire, or attract new people while you focus on creating the next thing. That's the difference between consuming and building. The asset you've been giving away is your attention. Every hour spent helping someone else grow an audience is an hour not invested in building your own. The people succeeding online didn't wait for permission. They decided to become publishers instead of remaining only consumers. The gate is open. The tools are free. The decision is made every day, whether you make it intentionally or not. The worst financial advice in the world might be the phrase printed on countless graduation cards: follow your passion. The man who argues against it grew up with a single mother living on a secretary's salary. By the end of this video, you'll know a simple four-part equation for building wealth. You will also learn why its least exciting ingredient may be the most valuable. Scott Galloway didn't begin with wealth or powerful connections. He built companies, watched some succeed and others fail, and learned expensive lessons along the way. Those experiences led him to a model of wealth grounded in reality instead of wishful thinking. The first idea it challenges is passion. The activities you love are often loved by millions of others, creating fierce competition and lower rewards. Instead of chasing passion first, focus on developing a skill you're naturally good at, that the market genuinely values. Mastery often comes before passion, not the other way around. The equation is built on four ideas: focus, stoicism, time, and diversification. Focus builds valuable skills. Stoicism means spending less than you earn and avoiding lifestyle inflation. Time allows compounding to work. Diversification helps you stay in the game long enough for that compounding to matter. The real goal isn't luxury, it's freedom. Wealth isn't built through exciting shortcuts. It's built through consistent habits repeated for years. Boring is often what compounds. The most powerful tool ever created is about to give many people absolutely nothing. Not because they can't access it, but because of a simple law of mathematics. The next decade won't be defined by people versus machines. It will be defined by two people holding the same machine and getting completely different results. Not long ago, building a business meant hiring specialists. You needed developers, designers, writers, accountants, and legal help before you could launch almost anything. Every new idea depended on other people. That barrier is disappearing. Today, one person can describe software in plain language, generate designs, improve writing, analyze data, and complete work that once required an entire team. The individual now has access to leverage that used to belong only to large organizations. But leverage follows one unforgiving rule. A multiplier can only multiply what you bring to it. Bring nothing, and zero multiplied by anything is still zero. AI can generate words, images, and code, but it cannot decide what deserves to exist. It cannot replace your curiosity, judgment, or purpose. Think of it as an incredibly powerful engine. Connected to a vehicle, it can take you almost anywhere. Without direction, it simply burns energy without moving. Does that mean learning AI tools is enough? Not quite. The bottleneck has shifted. Capability is becoming widely available. Direction is now the scarce resource. The people who benefit most won't necessarily know the most prompts. They'll know what they want to build and use AI to move faster. A single person with a laptop now holds extraordinary leverage. AI will faithfully amplify whatever you bring to it, your effort or your excuses. The only thing it cannot decide is whether you'll take the first step. At 2 in the morning, a class of exhausted Navy SEAL candidates stood neck-deep in freezing mud. They hadn't slept in days. The instructors offered them a simple escape. Quit now, get warm, and the pain ends. That moment reveals the biggest lie we tell ourselves about motivation. The class was close to breaking. Then, somewhere in the darkness, one candidate started singing. It wasn't a great performance. It was off-key, but another voice joined. Then another, until the entire group was singing together. Nothing about their situation changed. The mud was still freezing. Dawn was still far away. What changed was that one person acted first. William McRaven later became known for one simple piece of advice: make your bed. It was never really about the bed. It was about proving to yourself, early in the day, that you finish what you start. One completed action becomes evidence. That evidence builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Most people believe the order works the other way around. They wait until they feel motivated, confident, or ready before taking action. But confidence doesn't come first. Confidence is earned after action. Every small promise you keep to yourself becomes proof that you're capable of taking the next step. Waiting for confidence before beginning often means waiting forever. SEAL training also has a brass bell. Ring it, and the suffering stops immediately. The temptation is strongest when you're at your lowest. Life has its own version of that bell. It sounds like, maybe tomorrow, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I'm not ready. Those thoughts feel reasonable, but they often arrive right before growth. Every confident person you admire was once uncertain. They simply moved before they felt ready. The feeling you're waiting for is usually waiting for you on the other side of action. There is a graveyard of abandoned channels, businesses, projects, and half-learned skills. Most of them didn't fail at the beginning or the end. They died in the middle, at the point that looks exactly like failure. That stretch fools almost everyone. Imagine a man struggling to cut down a tree with a dull saw. Hour after hour, he works harder, getting slower every minute. Someone suggests stopping to sharpen the blade. His answer is simple. He's too busy sawing. Many people approach life the same way. They work harder while becoming less effective because they never invest in improving the tool that's doing the work. Now think about compounding. Most people understand it with money, but it applies to almost everything. Skills compound, reputation compounds, relationships compound. Every piece of work you publish builds on everything that came before it. The 100th video benefits from the audience the first 99 created. The difficult part is that compounding is almost invisible at first. Progress looks flat. You practice but still feel average. You publish but few people notice. Your instincts tell you nothing is happening. That's exactly where most people quit. The early stage isn't proof that the process has failed. It's the part where the foundation is quietly being built. Stay with it long enough, and the curve eventually bends upward. What others call an overnight success is often years of invisible progress, finally becoming visible. Does that mean you should never rest? No, there's an old story about a goose that laid golden eggs. Its owner became impatient, destroyed the goose, and lost the source of every future egg. The lesson is simple. Protect the thing producing the results. Sharpen the saw. Take care of your health. Keep learning. Small actions don't simply add together. Over time, they multiply. The place that feels most like failure is often the exact place where the payoff is about to begin. Picture your own funeral. Imagine the room, the people, and 4 speakers. Someone from your family, a close friend, a coworker, and a member of your community. What do you hope they would say about the life you lived? That simple question has the power to cut through distractions faster than almost anything else. When you imagine that moment, everyday worries begin to fade. Deadlines, notifications, and minor frustrations suddenly seem much smaller. What remains are the things that truly matter: the people you loved, the work you created, the risks you accepted, and the person you became. Many people never define that destination. Instead, they spend years climbing the nearest ladder, only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. Think about someone who achieved enormous financial success, but later realized the greatest cost was not money. It was the moments that never came back: family milestones, ordinary afternoons, and years that quietly disappeared while waiting for life to begin later. That story reveals something important. Your future self is not waiting somewhere ahead. That person is being built today. Every ordinary decision adds another brick. Every habit shapes the direction of the life you are creating. Now imagine 2 versions of yourself 10 years from now. One kept waiting for confidence, better timing, or the perfect opportunity. Years passed, but very little changed. The other started before feeling ready. Small actions, repeated consistently, slowly transformed into a completely different life. The difference was not talent or luck. It was what happened on ordinary days that did not seem important at the time. Big goals matter, but today is where those goals are built. It is the only piece of the future you will ever actually control. You will not someday meet your future self. You are building that person right now, one decision at a time. In one of history's darkest places, Viktor Frankl noticed something his captors could not take away. He lost his freedom, his family, and nearly everything a person can lose. Yet, he realized there was still one thing that remained: the ability to choose his response. That small space between what happens to you and what you choose to do about it is where your future is shaped. Think about what's already inside that space today. You have limited time. You have tools that previous generations could only dream about. You have opportunities to learn, create, publish, and build without asking permission. Confidence comes after action, not before. So why do so many people still wait? Because most of us compare the wrong 2 things. We spend our lives trying to avoid failure. We delay the project, postpone the conversation, and keep waiting for certainty because failure feels painful. But compare it with regret. Failure is usually immediate. You learn, recover, improve, and move forward. Regret works differently. It grows quietly over time. It waits until the opportunity has disappeared, then asks what might have happened if you had simply begun. Ask people later in life what they wish they had done differently, and the answers are remarkably similar. They rarely wish they had played it safer. More often, they wish they had started sooner. The safest choice often becomes the most expensive one. Frankl's insight reminds us that no matter what circumstances we face, we still own the choice of how to respond. That freedom cannot be handed to someone else unless we give it away. This video will end in a moment. When it does, the same space Frankl described will still be there. What you choose to do next is where your future begins.